Hello, welcome to the sheet, Parasha Study, Parashat Tazria, Metzora, which speak mostly about the laws of Sarat, but also of other types of Tum'ah as well. This week we're going to focus on something interesting that Rashi brings down, two different statements of Rashi, in which we're going to see a fascinating human element involved in the laws of Sarat. Rashi comments on the pasuk, "Uvayom hiraut bo basar hayitma." On the day that it shows live flesh, then it will become tameh. Talking about the laws of sarat, and if you wanted to know the laws of sarat, you could learn Rashi on the parasha. Compare it to Masechet Negaim instead of Tahorot, and you'll see really it's quite impressive what Rashi manages to do in these two parashiot. But that's not our focus today. Here, Rashi is just asking, what do you mean on the day of? That he has this basar hay. Just tell me, basar hayitman. When it's shown basar hayitman, why did it say on the day? So that she says something fascinating. Lelamed, yesh yom she'ataru bo, yesh yom she'en ataru bo. To teach me that on the day that it shows, because there's certain days that I see, certain days that I don't see the sarat. Meaning, keep in mind, part of the laws of sarat is that it only becomes tameh once the Kohen sees it and declares it tameh. Until then, it's not going to be considered tameh. So we say, Ubayom hiraot bo, on the day that the Kohen should come and see, and if he sees what it is, then it'll be tameh. But meaning, the Kohen shouldn't come on every day. When should the Kohen not come? Mikan amru. So from here, the rabbis deduce, Hatan notin lo kol shivat yemei hamishte lo utstalito chasuto veto v'chen baregel notin lo kol yemei haregel. On a holiday, on a regel, the Kohen shouldn't show up to see somebody's sara'at. If there's a hatan and shivat yemei hamishte, the Kohen shouldn't show up, whether it's on his skin, on his clothing, on his house. Don't show up because you don't want the person to become tameh. So therefore, delay the inspection of the sarat. So if the person is become sarat is tameh, he won't ruin his shivat yemei mishneh. You won't ruin the person's holiday. Look how Hazal are using the halachot, which are given, by the way, according to Hazal's approach. Keep in mind the laws of Sara'at, or for someone who speaks Lashon Hara. It's a punishment from God for avunot that one does. And the Rambam affirms this idea at the end of his Sara'at in Mishneh Torah. It's very interesting. Definitely recommended to see that. But you're talking about a sinner. And come Hazal and say, still, you have to be compassionate. You're going to Sarat, the punishment for Sarat is one in which you're going to isolate a person. You're going to put him in quarantine, which obviously we're familiar with these days, but it's quarantine from everybody, and he can't even be in his own house, right? So it's a little bit different from what we're used to. But here, you're going to cause him terrible grief by putting him in quarantine. Therefore, have a little bit of rahmanut. Wait until the closing of the holiday or the closing of Shabbat Yemei Mishteh before you come and see it. So here the rabbis finding a word from the Torah to apply it in a way that makes it more humane and to recognize the human aspect of the law, which is something that they'll do frequently based off what the Torah is hinting to them, that there's a day you should see, a day you shouldn't see. The next comment of Rashi is a very similar vein. We have the pasuk. It's talking about sarat on a household. It says, habayit, the person who has the house was what looks like sarat. He goes, I think I have something, a nega, kinega. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's sarat, maybe it's not. So only the Kohen can declare it sarat. So the Kohen has to come. V'siva Kohen, ufinu et habayit, b'terem yavo Kohen lerot et hanera. The Kohen says, listen, before I come, clear out the house from all the utensils. Why? In order to not have everything in the house tameh, and thereafter the Kohen will come and see the house. Now pause here for a second. right? This is Pesukim explicit in the Torah that, hey, we don't want to cause any more damage than we need to do to the person. Yes, there might be sarat on the house as part of the person's sins, but once we declare formally the house is tameh, everything within the house, all the utensils become tameh, right? So we don't want to do that to the person. Therefore, we're going to tell you, we're going to give you advice in the Torah. Kohen, don't go until he takes out all his utensils, so therefore he doesn't need to worry about Tumah and Tahorah. And here it's actually the Torah, but actually it's a comment to tell you what was the Torah thinking about. So he goes like this. Ba'alma hasa Torah, from the second line of the Rashi, right? The first line here, this explains as long as the Kohen doesn't come in, there's not going to be Tameh, because the Kohen has to be the one to declare Tameh. Ba'alma hasa Torah. What was Torah trying to save? Im al kli shetiv, yet bilem v'taharu. If you're talking about kelim, metal, made out of stone, wait, what are we talking about? Kelim made out of metal, just dip them in the mikveh, and they become tahor again. What's the big deal? So let them become tameh, you'll dip them and they'll become tahor, no big deal. If you're worried about the food becoming tameh, no problem. Okay, when the person's tameh, he can eat tameh food, but he can't eat when he's tameh. He can't eat, of course he can. So eat the tameh food when you're tameh. It's not like you don't want to eat the food when you're tahor, the food that became tameh. Okay, eat it when you're tameh, no big deal. And right, if you're dealing with a situation with sarah, it's tumah right around the corner anyway. So we're not worried about food. We're not worried about kilim. You could take them in the mikveh. Halo hasa Torah ila al kli hayris. The Torah was worried about earthenware, things that don't have tahora in the mikveh. That if they become tameh, the only way you could get it out of its tum'ah, earthenware, is by breaking it. That's the only way. Right? In a certain sense, kind of similar, for very different reasons, kind of similar to what we're familiar with about meat and milk and stuff like that. So here, it doesn't have a way of purifying, being metaher the klihedes. Therefore, you have to break them. Now, what is Rashi telling us here? Think about what the implications are. Rashi is telling you the average thing in the house is probably not going to become tameh anyway. It's telling you, it's highlighting what the Torah was specifically focused upon. These small klihedes that are normally not worth so much. They're not metal. They're not the things that are most valuable. They're actually very cheap, and therefore they're so common. And that's what the Torah is thinking about, to save the person's utensils, and therefore the Kohen has to be sensitive to that human element of it, and therefore do it properly and wait till the person takes out his klihedes out of the house before he comes and visits the house and declares it tameh. You can see from here that the laws of sara'at, again, the laws of punishments, the Torah and the Hachamim finding ways to apply a level of concern for the human being. We don't need to punish the person more than they deserve, and therefore they deserve to be treated properly and appropriately. I think it's a very powerful message for us to think about, especially in times of education. When we're educating someone, we're giving them some sense of rebuke, and we're potentially punishing them for things that they do wrong. It has to be with dignity. It has to be done properly. That's in one sense for us to learn, but also in the second sense, look how much the Torah and the rabbis cared about every human being, even the people who are sinning. The level of sensitivity in halakha has beautiful amounts of sensitivity within it, and every halakha set of halachot that you learn, and you see the level of sensitivity that the Hachamim had to the effects of the halakha upon the people. This is a nice little parasha to see these examples through Rashi's comments, and have a good day.